The first mistake the Galactic Concord made was assuming that diplomacy was a natural state. For 3 centuries, the Concord had expanded by conversation. Species met, assessed one another's strengths, then signed accords that neatly avoided war. Violence was an evolutionary phase most civilizations outgrew once starflight demanded cooperation. Predators learned restraint. Prey learned negotiation. The galaxy in time became polite. So when humanity arrived, broadcasting greetings in 1,000 languages and offering trade routes, cultural exchanges, and shared scientific research, the Concord welcomed them as proof the model still worked. Humans smiled easily. They laughed loudly. They spoke of unity, of lessons learned from their violent past. They admitted, almost proudly, that they had nearly destroyed themselves before discovering cooperation. It made them relatable. Endearing even. Ambassador Lin Wei's first address to the Concord Assembly was calm and measured. "We are not conquerors," she said. "We are survivors. We learned the hard way that strength without restraint leads only to extinction." The Assembly applauded. They never asked what had nearly wiped humanity out. They never asked what humanity had done to prevent it from happening again. For 20 years, humans played the role perfectly. They negotiated trade disputes between rival species. They mediated border conflicts. They volunteered ships for peacekeeping patrols in unstable regions. Their military vessels were present, but lightly armed, their weapon systems purely defensive. Behind closed doors, Concord analysts noted something strange. Human ships were overbuilt. Hulls were layered far beyond what was necessary for micrometeor defense. Power cores exceeded civilian requirements by an uncomfortable margin. Even their research vessels carried redundant command bridges and internal compartmentalization that suggested battle doctrine, not exploration. But humans were friendly, cooperative, transparent, at least on paper. So the reports were filed away. The second mistake came with the Karuk ultimatum. The Karuk Dominion was old, proud, and violent by Concord standards. A reptilian species that had never truly abandoned conquest, they tolerated diplomacy only when it favored them. When a cluster of newly discovered systems fell along a human trade corridor, the Karuk claimed ancestral rights and demanded exclusive control. The Concord convened emergency talks. Ambassador Lin listened patiently as the Karuk warlord, Threx Ulnar, displayed holographic projections of his fleets. "We do not seek war," Threx hissed. "But we will not be denied what is ours. Withdraw your ships. Dissolve your settlements. Or we will remove them." The Assembly turned to Lin. Humanity had fewer warships on paper. Their population was smaller than the Dominions. Logic suggested concession, compromise, or appeasement. Lin nodded slowly. "Humanity respects ancient claims," she said. "We request 72 standard hours to respond." The Karuk laughed. The Concord sighed in relief. Time meant tempers cooled. Agreements followed. But humans did not spend those 72 hours negotiating. They went home. Across human space, a signal propagated through channels the Concord did not monitor. Civilian traffic rerouted. Merchant fleets altered course. Research stations quietly evacuated non-essential personnel. And somewhere deep within humanity's military infrastructure, protocols older than their first interstellar treaty activated. Predatory protocols. The third mistake was believing the humans would fight like everyone else. When the Karuk fleets advanced, they expected formal engagement, lines of battle, warning shots, strategic retreats. Instead, their forward scouts vanished. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. Human vessels did not announce themselves. They emerged from folded space inside Karak formations, weapons firing before sensors could register their presence. They did not target flagships or command nodes. They targeted logistics. Fuel tenders exploded silently. Ammunition carriers vented their holds into vacuum. Communication relays went dark, severed by precision strikes that left no debris to track. The Karak responded with brute force, flooding the region with firepower. Human ships slipped through it. They moved like pack hunters. Never alone, never predictable. One ship drew attention while others struck from blind angles. When damaged, human vessels did not retreat. They closed distance, using their reinforced hulls as weapons, ramming enemy ships with terrifying intent. Boarding actions followed. The Concorde had outlawed boarding centuries ago. It was inefficient, risky, barbaric. Humans embraced it. Armored figures flooded Karak corridors, moving fast, communicating with hand signals and short bursts of encrypted speech. They targeted engine rooms, life support, command centers. They did not slaughter indiscriminately. They disabled. Captured Karak officers were sealed into holding cells, restrained, alive, terrified. Within 12 hours, the Dominion's advance collapsed. Within 24, their fleets were surrounded. Ambassador Lin returned to the assembly as the battle still raged. She did not look triumphant. She looked tired. Humanity has neutralized the Karak threat, she said. Their fleets are immobilized. Their supply lines severed. Their command structure compromised. The assembly erupted into stunned silence. Threxelinear's image appeared, alive, restrained, his scales dulled with stress. "This is dishonorable," he snarled. "You fight like animals." Lin met his gaze calmly. "Yes," she said. "We do." She turned back to the assembly. "You misunderstood us," Lin continued. "We are not peaceful by nature. We are controlled. There is a difference." She gestured, and new data filled the chamber. Historical records humanity had never shared. Wars that consumed entire planets. Weapons that cracked continents. Doctrines built around extinction-level retaliation. "We evolved on a death world," Lin said. "High gravity. Aggressive megafauna. Pathogens that adapt faster than medicine. Every step of our development was contested by something trying to kill us." The assembly watched in horrified fascination. "We did not abandon violence," she said softly. "We mastered it. Then we locked it away, because we understood what unrestrained predation does to a civilization." Threx struggled against his restraints. "You call this restraint?" he spat. Lin looked at him, not with hatred, but with something far worse. "Pity." "This is restraint," she said. "If we had chosen otherwise, your fleets would be debris, your world silent. We did not come to exterminate you. We came to make a point." She faced the assembly again. "Humans prefer diplomacy because it is efficient. Because it allows everyone to survive. But do not mistake preference for limitation." The Concorde members shifted uneasily. "We are apex predators," Lin concluded. "Not because we enjoy killing, but because when survival is at stake, we end threats permanently. Diplomacy is the mask we wear so we don't have to become what we are." The war ended that day. The Karak Dominion signed accords they never would have considered before. Reparations were paid. Borders redrawn. Observers installed. Human ships withdrew. They returned to smiling envoys and cooperative partners. But the galaxy had changed. Concord fleets quietly upgraded their defenses, not against invasion, but against human intervention. New doctrines were written. New terms entered diplomatic language. Human red line. It meant a boundary you did not cross. Not because humans would threaten you, but because if you crossed it they would stop talking. And the galaxy now understood the truth humanity had never advertised. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the largest. They were not the most technologically advanced. They were something far more dangerous. They were the species that had learned how to hunt itself, and won. And they were very, very good at pretending they didn't have to anymore.